Welcome to the New Breed panel. Before we start, as my good friend Brent Turner embarrassed me in the in the program, I'm the rockstar journalist. Thanks, mate. There's a little bit of history. I've been doing this panel for the last 4 years, I think. The first year I did it, I was so nervous that I decided it would be a good idea to bring a bottle of Ibiza's very own wonderful liqueur hierbas. And if things got too hairy or too boring, then we crack open the hierbas and either give it to the audience or give it to the members of the panel. It happened that year. It was Busy P, Scream, Toddler T, Annie Mac, I think. Anyway, quite a lot of heavy drinkers. So the hierbas was drunk within about the first 20, about the first 10 minutes of the panel, and it degenerated into, well, quite a lot of fun actually. So. Thus, this has become a tradition. So as the panel goes on, we'll be passing the drinks around and toasting everybody's good health. I know Francesca was out quite late last night with my girlfriend, so she's looking a little queasy, but you're still going to have to drink it. And yeah, hopefully we can do some fun and entertaining stuff. All right. So I'm going to start with getting the guys to briefly introduce themselves, and then we'll get cracking. Thanks. Literally get cracking.
Sure, I'll go first. My name is Kölsch. Actually, my name is Rune, but my last name is Kölsch, which happens to be my artist name. And I've been producing for the last forever, 20 years. My first release in 1995. But lately, I've been having success and fortune as my surname Kölsch, releasing in compact records and playing all over the world.
Thanks.
Hello, my name is Francesca Lombardo. I am an artist. I've been DJing for maybe several years now. And I also sing and I do a live set. Yes, I'm Italian.
Danny?
Hi, I'm Danny Daze. I'm from Miami. I've been DJing since 1999 and making music since about 2003, 2004. And yeah, that's me.
I'm Danny Howard. I've been DJing for about 9 years, producing for 7. I do a radio show on BBC Radio 1 and also Sirius XM in America.
Okay, thanks, guys. So I think the introductions kind of set the tone for, I said to the guys before we came on, I think it's like, they're all 10-year overnight successes, if that makes sense, because they're people, the talent is the new breed, and it's about, new people that are breaking through, but it goes to show that you can work for a long time in this industry doing lots of different things, and then at a certain time, your time will come, and these guys have been assembled because something sort of exciting is happening for them right now, and it feels as though they're breaking through. And I really want to kind of focus on your route to success and giving some kind of practical advice to a lot of the delicacy, because I'm sure there are plenty of aspiring producers and DJs, who want to be sat here next to, maybe not next to me, but they want to be sat and be doing what you're doing. So I'd like to start with just talking about that, and maybe just talking about each of your personal stories and kind of how you got to where you were, and kind of the choices you made, and that sort of stuff. So I don't know. Do you want to start with that, Rune? Because I know you have quite an interesting past, because you did lots of different stuff musically. So
yeah, it's been a long and rocky road. I mean, I've been producing and making music basically since I was 10, 11. First, I was heavily into hip hop and breakbeats at the time, and then I discovered house music and was totally infatuated by this sound. And I started producing records on my Amiga 500 back then that I'd blagged off my mom. And I released a couple of records in the mid-90s as artificial funk. And it's funny because I've had so many variants of successes on the way. In 2001, I had a top 40 hit in the UK as artificial funk, which, funny story, is the worst performing top 40 hit ever.
okay,
it was in top 40 for 1 week.
Yay!
Way. But
so that's official. You officially had the very worst performing top 40 single of all time.
I think so. But
you can retire.
But at the time, I was very much interested in that sort of, I'm not going to say, I was just focused on making music that had potential to be on the radio. I liked writing songs. I liked focusing on things that would work on sort of a mass appeal in that sense. I found it really interesting, and I really sort of learnt my production techniques from all those years, thinking about 3 minutes 30, getting the compression right to make it sound right on a broadcast compressor and whatnot, so forth and so on. But at the same time, I was doing these side projects. I had a side project called Ink and Needle. That was my brother. That went on for a couple of years. We did a couple of anonymous 12 inches that were like pure Detroit techno-inspired stuff. And so it's always been like a duality between making radio-orientated music and really underground stuff for a long time. And for a long time, I felt really split between the two, and none of them really became huge successes. And at one point, I realized the reason why is probably because I was doing the two. You know, you can't really, if you don't pour your complete heart into one thing and decide this is what I really want to push, I want to spend my life on, it's sort of hard to justify that it could ever become a success. So I think the reason why now this is really working out for me is the fact that it's only that. And I've also allowed myself to be very personal with my productions and focused a lot about my childhood. The 2 albums I've done are all about experiences in my life. All titles are relevant for me. I can tell stories that are in that. And when you suddenly decide this is your place, this is what you want to contribute to the scene, this is your art and your craft, then success finds you.
So that's lesson number 1, I guess, is you have to devote your heart and soul and everything to one thing, and not dilute yourself or dilute your work and your creativity.
It took me 20 years to figure that out.
Well, you're here now. Okay, that's great, thanks. Francesca, yes. Please.
Okay, so for me, it's a very funny story, because at the beginning, like when I was a child, I was studying classical music, and my intention was more to be a singer and to be like, you know, on stage with a band, and I never thought I was gonna actually be a DJ, and it's literally just started for fun, you know, and I never even thought it was gonna become my job, and it actually took off, you know, more than the other thing that I wanted to do. So I basically like I went to London to live, and I met a bunch of people in the music, you know, like in the electronic music and DJs, and I was amazed by this, you know, like skill of like putting 2 records, you know, together and digging, and I started, and like in no time I was playing, you know, in clubs in London and raves, and these, like, it just happens so naturally that, you know, for me it was just, you know, I was, you know, kind of, okay, maybe this is the way I have to go, and I love it, you know, so I can do it. And then at that point I decided to open my own record label and to push myself and go and meet people, you know, like meet other DJs, go to the music conference in Miami, and just, you know, push it, you know, and just try and introduce myself to the industry. And that's, you know, I approached Luciano, I gave him like some music that was in DC-10 actually, in Circo Loco. And like after a couple of days he called me and he said, I listened to your CDs, they're amazing, you know, I want to meet you. So I met him, and then like I went to Miami to see him again, and that's when I actually happened to sit at the same table as Damien Lazarus, and I was a massive talker, you know. As soon as I see someone, I'm like, oh, this is my label, I do this, you know, let's listen to my CD. And even Damien, like, he always said to me, he was amazed by the way that I was like, you know, I so wanted it to happen, like, and that's why he listened to my music, and then he called me back, and he said, I really like your music, and so I really want to help you, I want to, you know, help you with your career. So I was really lucky to be able to, you know, work with Crosstown. And then from there, it just, you know.
So that's quite interesting then, because there are a lot of different routes to success, you know, sending off demos, being discovered on the internet or whatever, but you literally met 2 people that you were fans of that were, I mean, there was a lot before that.
Went for it.
Yeah, they were just waiting, and she coming. But yeah, so it's kind of like a combination of like hard work, talent, but also luck as well, I guess, that you know,
yes,
that you were.
I think sorry. I think also if you really want something, and if you go to someone like, and you know, when you want something, it's just definitely gonna happen. Everything that I always wanted, it happened, you know? Just have to really want it. And I think both of them, maybe they saw me just being not desperate, but like, I just had this love in my eyes that, you know, I really wanted to make it. And, you know, that's why they listen to the music, because I'm sure there is a bunch of people that, you know, bring music to people, to DJs, and they're like, yeah, I listen to it. And then, you know, I was lucky as well. But I think it's also you have to make it happen, you know?
But you did lots of stuff. I mean, you played in bands and things like that before.
Yes,
like
and that's what I'm saying. Like, my dream was to be in bands and like to be a singer. And this just happened, and just, you know, it was naturally happening. And I was like, well, I should, you know, I can do it. Yeah. I enjoy it. Why not, you know, just do this?
And was there a time when you became Francesca, no, it sounds but you became Francesca Lombardo, the artist, because you'd done other stuff, you'd been singing, like, was there a moment where you...
I continued to like write more electronic music, but more like pop, like more like a mix between pop and electronic. I call it dream pop, whatever it is. I have strings, you know, I played with orchestras live and sung, and I still do it. And, you know, I'm trying to find a home for my album, but it's like, it's so much more difficult to break through with that kind of music, you know, for me. I mean, from, you know.
It's more difficult for playing in bands and for doing stuff that's more pop.
Because you have a bigger environment around you. There's more acts. Like, I think the house and techno, like, you know, there's many DJs, but I think it's easier. You know, when you have bands and you want to do something live, you have to compete with different styles of music. You know, you have to compete with a massive amount of, like, you know, acts. And there's so much going on, you know, like, so I'm not going to give up, you know.
I think that's true, but it's probably changing, I think. It's becoming more and more competitive in our industry and in our world, I guess. Even in the more underground stuff, as that becomes more and more popular. But okay, thanks, it's great. Danny, do you,
yeah, as you guys said, it's very easy to lose yourself in this, where you basically start doing this for money. And as you guys said, if you put your heart into it, success finds you. I think with this industry, you're doing it on the left-hand side, where you're doing it for the love, and we're also doing it for money on the right-hand side. I think we are paving or trying to carve our own road down the middle, where we can make a living and do this. Oh, perfect. Yes, we need these.
We'll wait until you finish singing.
No, let's do it right now. It's perfect.
Until you finish talking, then we'll toast you after that. So.
Okay. I'll put it down here. What was I saying? Where was I?
Sorry, not to lose yourself yet.
Well, we're trying to carve ourselves down the middle, where we can make money and do this out of love as well. I started off DJing in 1999. I never thought I would be here speaking. It's amazing. And then I noticed that I went to money. I started making pop records. I started making pop music, and I was not happy. It was I was going to sleep thinking that I'm doing this for the money, that love was not in it. So I went back into the underground world, and all it took for me to start traveling was literally just one record. So if there's artists out there, if there's people that want to give up, I would say not to give up, because it took me 11 years to start traveling the way that I wanted to travel. And yeah, just don't give up. That's really all I can say. Like you guys nailed it when you said.
Okay. Well, I'll drink to that. IMS. Hierbas. That's helping my cold. So, okay. Danny, let's chat about your path, because yours is slightly unusual, I guess. I'll let you speak to the guys.
So I guess my big break came when I got a show on BBC Radio 1, obviously a world-renowned radio station, particularly for electronic music. Myself spent years from the age of like 11, 12, listening to Pete Tong and all the dance guys on there. So that for me was the big break. But before that, we talked about all the hard work. You know, it's not just overnight success. Like Nick says, like 10-year overnight success, all the hard work that goes into it. You know, like a lot of DJs started DJing in the bedroom. That's exactly how I started. And I always wanted to be the DJ. I wasn't interested in anything else. I used to sit in my bedroom watching videos of Carl Cox and Tiesto and like techno guys like Dave Clark and Miss Kitten and the Hacker. You just used to sit there as like a 15-year-old going, I want to be in that crowd. I want to be the DJ. And that's what I always set out to be, was just to be a DJ. And ended up through the influence of my older brother, actually, because he was always the one that wanted to be the DJ. He was the one that had the decks. He's the one that collected the vinyl, and I was just his little brother who used to like mess around and be really shit. But he really influenced me in the way that it gave me the vision of where I wanted to go. But I sort of lost track a little bit and went to uni, and I was a fitness instructor, and I did sports science for a degree, but then, because it wasn't truly what I wanted to do, I think in second year, I failed second year because I was just out all the time, traveling the UK with my friends, going to see our favorite DJs. And I had to resit the whole second year, but just one module, which meant I was in on like a Friday afternoon. So I had all this free time. And that's when I decided, do you know what, I'm going to teach myself to DJ. So I got some vinyl decks, and I think I had like 10 vinyls, so I was mixing the same songs together, but just to learn how to beat match. And again, I was really shit. And my friend who I'm getting there, but my friend who I borrowed the decks off lent me them, knowing that I couldn't mix at all. And I practiced, and he came around a few months later, and I was like, Adam, watch this. I did like the perfect seamless mix, and he literally nearly fell out of his chair, like, fuck, like, how did you, and it's just because of practice. And from that point on, I knew that sports and fitness wasn't what I wanted to do, and it was music and DJing. And then I came to Ibiza, and I went to Pasha and saw Eric Murillo. I went to see Carl Cox and Green Velvet at Space, and it was that trip that I was like, I'm actually going to do this. So all my friends were having 21st birthday parties, 18th birthday parties, and I was like the DJ guy who would go and do, play for them around my hometown in Blackpool, and that's when I decided to, keep stepping it up. And at uni as well, I remember blagging a gig in the student union, and all my friends came, all the football team, because I was doing sport. I got everyone to come, and it was a Sunday night, so it was like one of the quietest nights, and at the end of the gig, I got all my friends to go to the club manager to say how good they thought the DJ was that night. And then the next day, honestly, the next day I went to the manager and I said, he was called Kenny, really broad Scouse Liverpool accent. I remember, Kenny, I've had really good feedback last night. And he was like, oh, do you know what, Dan, so have I. I was like, all my mates, basically. So out of that, I ended up getting a residency every week on the main night, and it just grew and grew from there. But I suppose the message I'm trying to say is, because I knew I wanted to be the DJ, and I knew that's exactly, and I'd do anything, whether it's blagging my way into a gig, getting all my friends to go up to the manager and sort of cheating my way in to get a foot in the door, because of all the hard work that I put in at home, learning to DJ and wanting to get out and experience playing in front of a crowd. The message is, just keep working hard and keep learning, and everyone, I believe, gets an opportunity, and when that opportunity comes, whether it's at a gig or whatever, that you got to take it. And so many, because of Radio 1, so many young DJs and producers message me like, how can I get to where you are? And it's like, there's no answer. Like you said, everyone gets there with different paths, but the answer is just keep working hard, keep knowing which direction you want to go, and your opportunity will come. And I see all these phrases like, if you can dream it, you can do it. And I think that's a bit corny, really, but deep down, the truth is you just have to keep working hard and know what it is that you want. And then after like 4 or 5 years of then starting to learn to produce and DJing a lot more around England, Radio 1 decided to run a DJ competition for someone out of the whole of the UK to go and DJ at their legendary Ibiza weekend, which happens every August. And I remember, because I listen every day, I was like, oh, that sounds pretty cool to do that. And I never thought I would win it. And that was quite narrow, fixed-minded of me to think that, because I should have thought, yeah, I'm DJ, I'll have a go at that. But it was like my friend and my friends and family who sort of said, you should enter. And the short story is, I entered, I got down to the final 5, went down to London, did loads of tasks and DJ sort of drills and challenges, and won it, and came to Ibiza and played at Ushuaia and then at Space, and I was meeting Carl Cox and Tiesto, these guys that I'd been sat at home as a 15-year-old watching on YouTube. Next minute I'm face to face, like, and it was just incredible, and that was the prize. And then from that, I just thought, if I can do that, what else can I do? And I just kept in touch with Radio 1 and was like, I'd love to do a pilot. And they said no. And then my friend who works at Radio 1, who was a producer, who actually ran the competition, he was like, fuck it, let's do it anyway. So we did it. We put it on the boss's desk. He listened to it, and he gave me a one-off show at Christmas, pre-recorded, and then I think that went all right. And then he gave me loads of more pilots. I did like 4 more pilots after that. And I remember being on a heavy weekend with my friends at the end of January, and it was Monday morning, and I was really like tired and hungover, and the boss of Radio 1 calls me, and he's like, hey Danny, it's Reese, are you sat down? I was like, I'm actually lying down because I feel horrendous. And he said, we'd like to offer you a show on Radio 1, and that was it. I suppose that was the start of the journey where I am now, but the reason for the long-winded story is because the point is that you never know what's going to happen, and you can never imagine, so you can never be too fixed in your mindset to think that you could never get there. You know, to know that I'm on the same radio station as Pete Tong and occasionally filling for a show is just like crazy, and it's because of all that hard work and tenaciousness that I'd put in the previous years before I got the show. So yeah, that was my journey.
Great stuff. That's brilliant. Okay, so a lot of graft, a lot of being in the right place at the right time, a lot of believing in yourself, a lot of talent. I think it's 3 things. It's talent, hard work, and luck. And you you need to have, well, you probably get away with talent and luck.
At least 2 of those. You need at least 2 of those, yeah.
90% hard work and then 10% talent. And
yeah, I think you've got to have the luck thing.
The luck thing's
got to be there somewhere.
Hard work's always first, because you've got to have the talent to be able to deliver. There's so many people who they sort of get, by mistake, end up in a fortunate position that in the end, I always feel they get found out or they fade away. It's always the guys like who are DJing all around the world and constantly having success with their music and you know, always around for years and years, that are the ones that have put the graft in previous years, and I think that really goes far. So
yeah, but these days you can buy yourself out of talent a little bit, can't you? Which is sad, but true. I mean, it's in this situation. There's so much into marketing and so much of blagging and whatnot, and I'd say probably the hustle is the most important thing. As I was reminiscing while you were talking about all this getting into clubs and blagging your way in there and having all your mates going out did the same thing, and it's quite fun to listen to, because I mean you just got to work it, and you got to remember that all in all, if you have 200 people, that's your crowd, and maybe next week it will be 250 if you're lucky, and maybe next week it'll be 300. And that's just the way it is, and it's the same thing with Facebook likes. It's the same thing with everything. You just have to constantly deliver every single time.
I agree, because like I noticed that my career at one point I wasn't releasing so much. I was touring so much, and I couldn't cope with writing. And I for a moment I didn't release as much, and I felt like something was missing, and I had to keep on writing and writing and writing for me to stay there or grow. There's no way that you can stop. You have to keep on doing it. You have to go to the studio. You have to play. You have to get yourself out there, but you also have to work really, really hard. And it's fun, I mean, I have more fun in the studio than anywhere else on earth, so.
Nowadays, I think actually marketing comes into play quite a bit as well, which is something that wasn't present even 7 or 8 years ago. Now marketing comes in quite a bit, which I'm horrible at. I'm the absolute worst at that. But if you know how to market yourself, you actually don't need that much talent, which is horrible for the art. It's horrible for the art. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that up. It's
very interesting. Yeah, that's a kind of sad but true point, isn't it? Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
Anyway, you guys just talk amongst yourselves. I'm just going to pass the next celebratory round of Ibiza's famous digestif.
Check.
We'll come back to the marketing thing actually. First, we'll do our own. I don't know if it's good marketing or bad marketing. I don't know. We'll see. Mixmag. Hey. So
we only get cheers when you drink, apparently.
I know exactly. What's Ibiza? Sorry, Ibiza. How important is management and like the people that you surround yourself by?
That's extremely check.
Yeah.
We should probably say extremely important because our managers are in the room
Yeah,
as well. So it's so important, by the way.
I think the people you surround yourself with expresses what you're about, and it's extremely important because I think all of us, we probably have a million ideas going on in our heads right now, all at one time, and the management is what streamlines and makes sure that you can focus on one thing, because I consistently lose focus because I have so many other ideas that I want to do. So it's extremely important to find a person that not only can delegate, but that really believes in you, not a person that is just going to try and get 10% or 20% from you, like somebody that fully believes on you, and it's extremely important to find that. If it can be one of your mates or one of your friends that you've known for 10 years, my manager, for example, I've known him for 11 years, and just recently he became my manager, and it's one of the best things that's happened because now all these things that I want to do, he's the one making them happen, while I just spit them at. I'm consistently spitting ideas, and he's the one that's allocating it, making sure that things are going the way I want to.
Okay. But I think also you have to. It's important to mention that a manager will only amplify your artistic vision.
Right.
Because I think a lot of people have a false idea about what management does. It's not like some guaranteed success formula. It's not you're going to get on a big management and then they're going to save your career or something. Unless you have a clarified, strong vision in what you do already, then there's no chance.
You definitely need to put the hard work in first. I've seen a lot of younger producers. Maybe they had one record that was like pretty decent, and they're already looking for a manager, thinking that's the way to success. And it's not. You need to have eyes on you way before you get management, because you want that what's it called, hype, I guess. You want the hype already there, where then a manager can come in and really just propel it.
And also, I think, the manager has to really understand who you are and where you want to go. And it's really important that a manager can make you be, you can be yourself. And like, as you said, it's just gonna, make yourself, grow as you want to be, So I think that's really important, because it's important for you to be surrounded from by the right people, because, you put the hard work, but then you don't have the time to think too much about everything. So all you want to do, like, of course you know where you're going, but you want to make music, you want to, you're traveling, and you need someone there for you. But it has to be someone who understands who you are, and it's not going to change that. It's just going to make you succeed the way that help you succeed the way that you want to succeed,
Okay. Danny, you got anything to add, or you...
Basically, what these guys just said. No, what these guys just said, you've got to really trust in their opinion and make sure they share their vision with you, because when you surround yourself with a lot of people, whether it be managers, agents, friends, production partners, PR people, whatever, it's very easy to get lost and caught up in different opinions. So you've got to be true to yourself, have it in your head, and like Rune said, let your manager amplify what it is that you want to achieve.
Right, thanks. Going back to, like, we spoke about marketing, and well, some would say necessary evil. Some would say that it's part of the art form as well. Just briefly, and it's kind of, people talk about this till the end of time, but it is important. Just about social media and about how you present yourself, and about how other people present yourself, and how that works for you, kind of, in building your career and building your breakthrough. Did you have a conscious strategy? Was it something you just did ad hoc? Did somebody oversee everything for you?
I guess that's always, that's a bit tricky because you can overdo it as well. You can just become a marketing machine and then you, like you said, you completely lose the art. I've always focused on making sure that people know exactly what I like when it comes to music, when it comes to from fashion to everything else. And I do think it plays a big part in even the music that you play. It just, I don't know, it just comes off as a bit much if you start doing way too much marketing. In my situation, I always like to say maybe put one post on Facebook every couple of days, while some people take a different approach. I don't really know.
I think it's sad that it's like that, to be honest. I wish there was no marketing, there was no Facebook, there was nothing apart of music. But it's actually true. Like, you have to show people what you're doing. So I think, for me, the best way to do it, every time I'm going for a tour, every time like I have a release, or every time something happens that is related to the music, then I post it on Facebook, and I put a picture in there, you know, what I'm doing, like I arrive in Ibiza, like me at the airport, you know, but it's something that it's like you entertain, it's also a type of entertainment, if you know what I mean, on top of like DJ, because people want to know what you do, where you go, and I mean, like, if it was for me, I wouldn't even do it, but like, it's like you're pleasing people as well. They do want to know what you do, and like, and, you know, I think it's, you know, it's something that you do for the others more than for yourself.
It's interesting because there's some people that get success out of absolutely no marketing. You have guys like Burial or Helena Hoff, for example. Yeah. No social media, and it's incredible. I wish I could do that. Or I mean, that comes back to like the days of underground resistance where they wore masks, and that was their thing. Yeah.
There's probably quite a lot of artists that do know social media that we don't know about as well, I guess. Right. It's the other side of that, you know? Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. When you get it right, it's great, you know? I mean, obviously Daft Punk is a bit of an odd example, but, you know, when they just did their, they just did a billboard campaign, you know, I mean, it's slightly different because they were Daft Punk and they can do whatever they want, but it's like they're making that statement about going back to kind of authenticity and stuff, but... It's a tricky road. Sorry, please go on.
No, but I have a completely different view on marketing. I think marketing, especially social media, should and is an extension of my artistic vision. I think it's important to incorporate that. I'm not saying that it should overshadow the music, because that's primarily what I want to do, but I think it's important that instead, for me personally, I'm really, really fed up and tired of looking at DJs' profiles that are all about airports and nightclubs, and I'm having this for dinner, because I don't give a shit, honestly. And that's just my personal opinion. I think I want to be seduced. I want to have a magical illusion of what this artist is doing. And we made a conscious decision with my management. And we sat down and I thought, I don't want to take pictures of airports because I suck at sharing my boring life in economy seats and this. Yeah. So let's create something else. So what I'm doing now is much more about projecting art. I want it to be an extension of my artistic vision through the music. So I think social media is to be that, because people aren't stupid anymore. You know, if you post your touring schedule, whatever, everybody posts their touring schedule, but if you post something that you actually worked on and you made, or you're actually focusing on maybe doing something that's more creative, it really pays off, for me at least. And I think it's much more interesting on a completely personal level to do it that way, because I want it to be an exhibition as well. I want it to be something that you can look at and go, wow, that's fucking interesting. No, this is something different.
So it's part of your artistic expression as well. But what I was saying before was the fact that when you get overshadowed by your marketing, that is just, I mean, I don't think that's good for the industry in general, because then people start to copy it, things get saturated, and all you see is oversaturation and no art.
I think, you know...
I think it has to be a combination of both. Yeah. That's what I think. Yeah.
Great music backed up by great marketing is something. Average music with great marketing, or terrible music with great marketing is something else, you know?
That's pretty good too.
I think it's what's going on. Check. I think it's what's going on in the United States, actually. It's most of the hip-hop that's coming out right now is just, It's that. It's just mediocre music with insane marketing.
I'm actually really impressed by how they get away with it.
But by the what?
How they get away with it. I'm so impressed by it that nobody has sort of called the bluff. It's like Baron Munchausen syndrome or something. What's going on at the moment?
I don't understand at all, but yeah.
If you look at like old bands, like old acts that from the 70s, like they have very little likes on Facebook, but they're massive. You know, it's only in the last like 10 years, not Facebook or Twitter, whatever. It's only in the last 10 years that it becomes such an important thing. But like this massive acts, they don't, you know, if you go on their Facebook, it's like they have less likes than, you know, someone like Luciano, you know, and they're massive, like.
Yeah, but they probably get a lot of faxes though.
Exactly. So I imagine like everything changed, you know, but it was possible to do it without. So, you know, it's just how things moved, you know, and it's part of the music industry now. So
the fact that promoters now look at how many likes you have is one of the reasons I think things have changed in a way where, the marketing is a big thing. It's because of promoters. It's because of the fact that they'll go on your Facebook page when they're typing your name to see like who's this new person that's getting pitched to me. First thing that pops up is probably going to be your Facebook if you have one, and they're looking to see how many fans you have and how many likes you're getting, how many shares you're getting, because it's valuable. It's valuable to them.
Okay, so some interesting points there. Thanks. Moving on about you're talking about new talent actually. I'm interested to know. Do you think there's enough space? Are the old guard or are festivals and events, are they making enough space for like new talent and new blood to come through? If you look at a lot of the big festival lineups and club signs, it's kind of the same names have dominated stuff for at least the last decade, maybe longer in some cases. I'm just wondering if, you know, that we have a problem that there isn't, that people aren't making way enough to kind of let new talent break through. I don't know, anybody thoughts? Danny?
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I talked about Radio 1 Ibiza weekend, which is upcoming, and we were sat having a meeting a couple of weeks ago, and we're like, okay, who should we get? Oh, no, we had them last year. Oh, no, they played and literally the same names, like you say, are popping up, and who we're going to get to play our event, we don't know because we've already had them. So I think as far as headliners go, and because of marketing, like we just talked about, it's always going to be those same names, and maybe for the next 2 or 3 years as well. But I think the festivals are supporting new acts, and there's always new producers coming through. Everyone wants to be a DJ, everyone wants to be a producer now, and the amount of music I receive into my inbox shows that it's only going to get better within time because the amount of music that's coming through, it feels healthy, and the amount of good music as well. I think more and more people are coming educated, and so are festivals, and I think in the next 2 or 3 years, although we'll see the same names, I think we will start to see a bit of change as well.
I think it would also depend on the festival it is, because there's festivals that build the festival itself by championing brand new DJs. For example, like Deckmantle is one of them that they champion brand new DJs that you have no clue who they are, but you know when you go to that stage, it's going to be a badass DJ playing. They're there for a reason. Then you have other festivals that are just, you know, maybe doing it for the money. I'm not exactly sure, but it would depend on the festival, yeah. And I think there is a lot of room for new acts, and those are the kind of festivals that champion brand new acts.
I think there's a lot of room for new DJs, especially in clubs around the world. I see a lot of smaller clubs in Germany having obviously residents, but also a lot of new DJs. But we have to remember one thing is that a festival is normally purely ticket based, so they need these headliners to sell the tickets, obviously. I think a lot of festivals are doing smaller stages, which I think is really good. But I remember when I started DJing, I didn't play any festivals at all. I mean, it's probably within the last, 10, 15 years, the festivals have come in. Because in the beginning, if you're not a known act or a DJ, of course the festivals are not going to book you. The festivals are sort of the end game of this thing. But I think a lot of smaller clubs still have a lot of really amazing talent. And I know on the different label, when we're not talking about DJing, when we're talking about producing, is that, for instance, Compact, they listen to all their demos, they get sent in. I get millions of demos. I really think it's important to take the time to listen to the talent and also give them the feedback that they need. And a lot of labels are looking for the new thing all the time. I don't think it could be a better time actually to break through. And I think there's loads of room. We have to remember that if you're a new artist and you want to break through in this scene, you're creating your own crowd. And I think a lot of people tend to think that, oh, I'm going to play this festival, I'm going to be superstar afterwards. That's not the point. Is you have to build your crowd, one guy, one fan, one person at a time that likes what you're doing. And this base is they like you. Like, you know, let's say people that like my music might not like what Danny's making, but I mean, I think it's important to realize that we have individual people that like what we do, and that's how you build success. You don't build success around randomly playing a festival. That's not going to do any difference anyway.
Danny, did you have something to follow up with there? Or you
I completely forgot what I was going to say.
You're like, when's he going to pour another glass of hierbas? Because
let's get another one of those.
On that note.
Maybe I'll remember, yeah.
Okay, while I'm pouring, what is the best decision you ever made, and what is the worst decision you ever made? In regard to your career, by the way, nothing, you know, it's not after the watershed, so, you know, let's keep it. Tuffy.
The decision I ever made was to go to sleep really late this morning.
All right, yes.
I guess best decision I've ever made is to not get influenced by what other people say, and one of them was my mom. Actually, my mom said she's the one that bought me my first DJ equipment, and she didn't think that I would end up here. She thought. She basically wanted me to work for the city of Miami. She wanted me to, I already had a city of Miami job. I gave up something that was making me money and was gonna be something on the long run. I was gonna be able to retire when I was maybe 55. I was able to retire with a good pension plan. And I said, I can't do this. I'm not going to sleep happy. I feel like my life is not going the way that I want it. And that's the best thing I've ever done, is basically not listen to subjective influences, I guess. You know, of people that think they know what's good for you. You know what's good for you, and you just have to consistently follow your gut instinct. Yeah. Danny?
I suppose the best decision I ever made was to enter that competition for Radio 1 that I referred to earlier, because it gave me my biggest opportunity to be able to do what I do now with having my own label, DJing everywhere, putting out music. And I suppose the worst decision would be in relation to that, thinking that I couldn't enter and being really fixed mindseted. So yeah, that one moment taught me a lot, both the worst and best decision.
Okay, quickly to best decisions.
Yeah.
This is good. Applause. Now, worst decisions.
No, I haven't said my best one yet.
Right, okay. Good news or bad news?
No, I think actually I'll say they're two best decisions. I've had many lives. I'm like I'm a cat, really. I've had like 15 lives by now. But anyways, the first best decision was my dad was a Buddhist. He passed away sadly, and he took me to his lama called Khenpo Rinpoche, and I asked him, and he was like, "What do you want to do with your life?" And I was 15, and I said, "I want to make music." And my dad wanted me to go to university, and the lama said, "You know what? That's the best thing you can do, because you're going to make a living of making people happy. You're giving people joy in their life." And that's sort of a mantra that I live by every day. This fact that I'm allowed to stand on a stage and see people smile of me playing kick drums. And I think that's absolutely amazingly beautiful. So at the time, I said, that's what I want to do with my life. That's the first best decision. The second best decision is that I said no to a Las Vegas residency about 6-7 years ago.
You said no, did you say that?
I said no.
Right.
I was offered residency with ridiculous amounts of money involved, and I just said I can't do it. And that is the second best decision I ever made.
My best decision was to go to London, to leave Italy and go to London to start because I knew I could feel that London was the place for me to start and do this, as you know, do music and pursue my career. And yeah, that was my best decision, and yeah, I'm happy.
Right, how many? We've only had one worse decision here, right?
We haven't. Yeah, we haven't had.
Come on, this is the good stuff.
Yeah, no, my worst decision was to do something for money, was to make pop music. I did it because I needed money because I was in jail. So this is something else. But so I got out of there. Yeah, I got out of there, and I basically needed to pay. Yeah, I needed to pay a lawyer. I needed to get all my stuff, and I started making pop music. And that was the absolute worst decision because it just. But at the same time, I think it's the reason I'm here because the first record I made that people notice is a song called "You're Everything." It's basically a pop record. So I guess it wasn't my worst decision. I don't know now.
I mean, I think
it was. I would never do that again.
I love that record. I think it's a brilliant record.
Yeah.
But I quite like pop music, so
right.
so there you go. It's quite interesting because I know you did an interview with Duncan, who's our current editor of Mixmag, and you spoke a lot about making that song and how you've kind of felt as though you maybe had to define yourself against it a little bit since then, because that was kind of the track that brought you through to the majority of the dance music scene. But it was something that your heart wasn't really in.
I'm still proud of that record. That record is me. What I did not like was the fact that people said it was deep house. Yeah. I didn't not the fact that it's deep house, but people pegged me as a deep house guy, while I'm an electro techno guy. I've always been. That record to me was basically a mixture of new wave and bass music, and like Miami bass music. Yeah. I didn't really know anything about deep house other than the stuff that came from Detroit, guys like Rick Wade and stuff like that. And it's been it took me quite a while for people to understand what it is that I do, and the fact that I have so many. Miami is a melting pot of influences, and all these things come out of my music. So yeah, that took me quite a while, but I'm completely proud of that record, for sure.
You should be. It's a great record.
Yeah. Well, proud. Yeah, sure.
Did we have another worst decision? No, are we done now?
I've got one.
Oh, okay, great.
No, I've
worst decisions from the audience.
There's been so many bad decisions, obviously. But I mean, either way you look at it, you would talk to people. We all have a good career out of it, so they can't have been all bad, these decisions. But I think my worst decision was that I tried to repeat a success. When you've had a success, like a big hit record, and you try to do a similar thing or the same thing again, because you think that's the right thing to do. It took me a while to learn that you have to leave those milestones alone and just do something different. Go somewhere else, do something else. And I think it's important to know that, I mean, I guess other than U2, there haven't been many bands that have been able to do the same thing over and over again. Oh, maybe Coldplay, I guess, or something like that.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, but anyways, you can't do the same thing all over again. You have to sort of create a new path for every piece of music you make. That's my opinion.
But that keeps creativity going, though. When you're consistently changing your sound or having you're just consistently trying to change your sound in order to be creative on the next record that you do. That's usually what I do. Whether it's Usually what I end up doing is I start a track with a Nord Lead 3, for example. The next track that I make, I'm going to start it with another synthesizer and try to learn that synthesizer and try and get into it, so what comes out, the output is going to be something completely different.
I think it's super important what you were saying. I think it is our job. Let's face it, electronic music and what we're doing, for me, is first of all, directly related to classical music in the sense that there's usually one composer making the music, which I think is extremely beautiful. So the emotional impact is very strong. You just have to deal with one piece of emotion that comes through the computer or the instrument, whatever you choose. But also it's the futuristic music in the sense that we're not limited by two guitars, a drummer, and a bass player. We're not limited by these classical instruments, and we're not limited to the usual song structure, which would be, let's say, two choirs and whatnot, and that would be it. And I think it's super important that we take it as our responsibility in general, I'm not talking about only us, to keep pushing things forward, to keep changing, to keep evolving. And that is our most, well, how do you put it? I think that's the most important thing we can do.
Okay, great. We've got about 5 minutes left, and I suspect there's probably going to be some questions from the floor, I hope. And it gives me another excuse to pour the last round of hierbas. Hey. Any questions from the audience? Gentleman at the front here, or yeah.
Hello there, thank you for sharing these awesome experiences and how you guys got to speaking to us and the beautiful experiences you probably must have had along the way. And basically my question to you guys was something that I picked up from another conference at Brighton. And the question was, how do you retain credibility in this industry? You know, when it's time to make a decision about which label you get onto, is there any advice there? Like, does it count which label you release your track on, or is a good track on any label? I mean, especially for the sort of, I guess, more underground vibe. I mean, it does, to me, I mean, up to my research, it seems like it's quite important to release on the right label, to get on a kick, especially if you don't have a crew. You know, some people like me, I spent all my life producing and didn't go out enough, didn't enjoy the party enough, so I'm like here stuck trying to meet the crew, then make the music though. But you need to then place it in the right place and see, I mean, you guys might answer that question.
I think it's important that you go somewhere where your heart is. Like you just don't go to a label because it has a name. It could be a label that not many people know, but it's where your heart is, and you admire that label and you just do it. You know, it's not, of course it is important where you release. You know, if you release on Cocoon tomorrow, your profile will go up. But that doesn't mean that you have to release somewhere like that big, you know, like, or you can, it just doesn't have to be anything. It just have to be somewhere where you feel comfortable and that you have your heart in, you know. I don't think about these things so much, like, maybe I should, but like... Credibility?
Just to keep in mind the credibility part.
The credibility, yeah, of course. You don't go and release your music somewhere that doesn't make any sense with the music that you're making, you know. You always, like, try and work with people that, you know, are respected and, you know, that you respect. First of all, you respect yourself. And I think credibility is all about you working hard and, like, just be humble and just, you know, be focused on what you do and just don't go and you know, change yourself just because you want to get somewhere. Just be yourself and keep on being yourself.
I think also the music speaks for itself. So when you want credibility, if you continue to do a sound that you truly believe in, you will have credibility. One thing I would say about releasing on a very big label is it has good and bad, because if you release on a massive label, you're going to get a lot of exposure. But you have to understand that you're under somebody else's umbrella. You may be riding a coattail for a long time, which is what I never wanted to do, because I wanted to stand on my own 2 feet and have people understand that what I do is what I do. I don't want to be known for being somebody else's number 2 or number 3. And that's what I would say about releasing on a bigger label, yeah.
I think it's pretty important from time to time to disregard credibility, because I don't want that as an influencing factor in my music, in the sense that it spawns a certain insecurity within you as an artist if you have to deal with, will this be credible for your career? Which is not a decision you should be making in the studio, on the contrary. So I think, of course, you need to find the right home for your music. That goes without saying. If you need to find the right label and then stick to that. But credibility, coolness, whatever, it's important to leave that at the door, because it could poison your music to a certain extent. That's my experience, at least. When you overthink things, you take layers away, like, oh, this melody is a bit over the top too much. That's ruining your art. So to a certain extent, I think it's important to steer away from that and don't think about it too much either.
I would just say it's important to know exactly what it is that you represent as well. So I hear so many producers wanting to be the cool techno DJ, wanting to play DC-10 and space, when really their music might not suit that. You know, you have to, oh, thanks. You have to really know what it is that you represent and be comfortable with that, as we've just said. and make sure that you're shooting for the right labels. And I think that's a key to success, actually. If you blur your vision by chasing credibility, then it's just not going to work out. Hierbas.
We're finishing on time. A round of applause for our wonderful panelists. Hierbas, thank you.